this space on Zoom, and I'm preparing to go live on YouTube as well. So that is starting up just now. So come in, take a seat in our sacred circle, this space and we are live on Zoom as well and on YouTube. So come in, take a seat, grab a drink, and let's open up this circular space for this, our global audience. And it's just so wonderful to be here. My name is Eimear, as you all know. I decided to use my standing desk today so I can move about a bit, since this is a journey of discovery where we are going on the most beautiful, sacred walk to the centre of Ireland, the centre of Éiriú. So good afternoon, Michelle. Yes, first off the mark, pop your name in the chat, and also, how are you? How are you? What's going on for you in your world, in your life just now? Let us know on YouTube and in Zoom as well. It's just good to know, to check in, because we're all so scattered around the world. And when we come together, it's so beautiful to join forces. Hello, Leslie Ann, welcome here. So what we're going to be doing today is, it really is a reenactment of my holiday, my trip home to Dublin at the end of August. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is, once we all get settled into this space, I finally went to see the Book of Kells, which is in Trinity College in Dublin. So I'm going to be sharing some insights around that. Maybe you're familiar with it. Let me know in the chat if you're familiar with it or not. But ultimately, why I feel called to share that is that it feels like the Book of Kells wants to be part of a transmission to support us in these times. And then from the Book of Kells, we will walk west from Dublin to west to the middle of Ireland to Uisneach. And I'll take you on a journey of pictures, of sacred storytelling, so you can really connect with and feel the energy there. And let us know if you've been to Uisneach as well, in the centre of Ireland. And then from there, Peacock has to have a mention and has to have his own space in this particular webinar, because as we're journeying to the sacred centre, Peacock medicine came in very strongly, and all will be explained later on. Yeah, and just the most beautiful moment with Peacock. And then we'll end with a bit of time in the sacred garden of remembrance in one of the parks that I go to. It's one of my most favorite places, to be honest. And yeah, it represents for me, there was a blessing of the graves when I was home that my mum wanted me to go to. And I'll share more about that when we get to that part. But it feels like a beautiful way to wrap up, and then I'll share what's coming up in my neck of the woods and how you can dive in and learn more with the upcoming events that we have. So let's see who's here. Hello, Karina in Holland, Virginia, in Pennsylvania. And Sarah is saying, we designed our logo based on the image from the Book of Kells. Wow, that's so amazing. Anna Barker is tired and grateful to be here in drought-stricken Minnesota. Wow, looking forward to learning more. Oh, thank you. Michelle is a beautiful peacock emoji. Wendy from Wisconsin, hello. You got to see the Book of Kells in Trinity in 2019. Fantastic. Carol from Vancouver Island in Canada. Gorgeous. Rennie from Rocky River, Ohio. And Leanne is in Nebraska, in the middle of America. Beautiful, from one center to the other. And Lisa from North Carolina, Jennifer from Texas, hello. Beautiful. Well, keep letting us know where you're coming in from and how you are as well. Hi, Vanya from India, welcome here. So we're spanning the globe, and welcome to all of you who watch this in the replay as well. So my last webinar, it was when I came back from holidays with my family in Malta, and that was in July. So that's when we were coming out of summer solstice into Lunasa time. And now we're in the time coming out of Lunasa, going into autumn equinox. So it feels as a beautiful rhythm to when there's a need to connect. And I don't know if you can hear, my dog is dreaming just there and whining a bit. So hello, Kerry from the Sperrins in Northern Ireland. And Lucretia, is that right? From Maine. So blessing to be here. And Heidi in Wisconsin. Gorgeous to have you all here. Got 33 just now, which caught my eye. Beautiful sacred number. And yeah, quite a few over on YouTube as well watching. So shall we dive in? So I've got some notes for just about the Book of Kells from what I remember from the tour, and I'll also share resources if you want to follow up and find more. Hi Willow, lovely to have you here. So I'm going to read from these first, and then just to keep the suspense, I'll share the photos around the Book of Kells. You can't take pictures of the actual book, but I took some pictures around in the beautiful museum as well. Hello, Beverly from Pennsylvania. You've had a delightful experience seeing the Book of Kells. Oh, that's gorgeous. Wonderful. So this sacred book, it is very sacred, and it's lucky that it still is here, to be honest, because these texts have been on their own divine journey. But the Book of Kells, it is a pictorial and written in Latin representation of the New Testament, the four Gospels. So it is a religious text, and we all know what's been written out of the text, the Marys, how they've been changed and distorted and sanitized. And these are the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But don't worry, I'm not going to be preaching from the Gospels today, but it's important to share that it is the religious text. And what surprises me, or the questions I ask, and I'd open up to your questions as well, is that why did these scribes, the people that scribed this book, take such a length of time and write and draw in so much detail at a time when there were invaders coming to the country and it was dangerous? So why did they spend so much time scribing this book? What was so special about it? And I invite you to open up to this transmission today to really feel into how this speaks to you. So there are 680 pages in the Book of Kells, which is made of vellum, which is calf skin. And they say it was written about 800 in the year, round about 800. It's a rough estimate, so in the 9th century. And that it was written on Iona, which is in the Inner Hebrides of the west coast of Scotland. And then it was completed in Kells. But they don't actually know whether it was all written in Iona, on the island of Iona, or whether some was. My feeling is some was done in Iona, and then it was taken over the sea to Ireland, to Kells, where there's a monastery. So I'm just going to show you so you know and get a feel for where we are. I'll share my screen, and this is Iona here, where the big red dot is, off the west coast of Scotland. You go to the Isle of Mull and then over to Iona. I've been there twice. We actually got engaged in Iona. And then it was taken over to the middle of Ireland, to Kells, which is in County Meath. Just to get our bearings, since we are a global circle. So while this book was being written, the Iona is a very sacred island for anyone that has been there. I actually have a picture over there that we bought on Iona. And it is dove-shaped with a bit of imagination. When you geographically look at the island, it is the shape of a dove, also known as the Island of the Doves. And in 563, St. Columkill came over from Ireland and founded his monastery on Iona. and early Christianity. And that's the story that has stuck. However, there were ancient settlements on Iona. And if you've been there, it carries such a sense of mysticism and peace and calmness. You can see why the dove represents peace. It really, really has this very magical quality to the island. And I did hear, I don't know where, that there was a stone circle on Iona of about 300 stones. So it's way, way more ancient than these monasteries that were built on top of these sacred power portals, as is the story. So I feel it is the place of the goddess. Then the Vikings came along in 795, in 802, and in 806, and plundered everything. Mass destruction, burnt the libraries and the books and sacred texts that were being created and written up on Iona. And the final number of what's recorded is that 68 people, most likely monks, perhaps druids and priestesses, who knows, they were killed. So it was felt that it was too dangerous and too risky to have this and keep this book on Iona. So it was taken from the tiny island, and it would have been by boat, by sail and rowing boat across the wild ocean and down to Ireland. And it ended up in a monastery in Kells, which is in County Meath, in the middle of Ireland, and hence why it's called the Book of Kells. Sometimes I'll hear people call it the Book of Iona as well, and this is where it was completed. So there were 4 different scribes, as far as they know, because of their different handwriting and styles. And they wrote with goose or swan feathers with different pigments and inks. And there is an audio guide. I'll send it as a follow-up to this, a really good audio guide that you can listen to. And that's what an audio guide is, isn't it? You listen to it. That can really bring it to life as well. But what really fascinated me there was the different pigments and inks that they used to scribe with. And I can just imagine us all creating this sacred text with the perfect goose or swan feather that's been gifted by these birds, and then creating, and like an alchemical act of creation, to get that perfect color of ink and that perfect combination. So they used what was around them. They made the iron gall ink, because it's really vibrant colors, from crushed oak apples and sulfate of iron. They made the black carbon ink from lamp, or the black lamp or soot. They made the orange red color from red lead or lead oxide. And the yellow color was from orpiment, which is arsenic sulfide, or that's called the gold pigment. The blue, which was previously thought to be lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, but now they know that it's woad, W-O-A-D, which was available locally. And then the green was made by mixing the gold pigment with indigo. White was from the mineral gypsum. And then a dye from lichen or lichen was used to produce the purples. So I just love that, using what is in nature, what is available to them, to create these beautiful, and if you are an artist or a painter, you know that yourself, coming up with the most beautiful, perfect colors, and colors that would last as well, last the test of time for us all to witness and connect with now. So it was in Kells, and Kells is a beautiful place as well. There's a round tower, there's the monastery, the land around there is really, really lovely place to visit. It was held there in Kells then from that time, the early 800s, until 1641. So quite a long time that it was held there at Kells, or so they believe. but there was an Irish rebellion in 1641, and it was this Catholic-led uprising in an attempt to end anti-Catholic discrimination, to have greater Irish self-governance, and to return the confiscated Catholic lands back to the indigenous people of the land. So this was all going on, this turmoil was going on within Ireland. So again, the Book of Kells was under threat of being discovered, of being burnt, ripped apart, and ruined, because it is the Gospels, it's the 4 Gospels of the New Testament. So Kells was being destructed, there was damage to the monastery, to the Round Tower there. So in 1653, the book was gifted to Trinity College Dublin, which is right in the centre, in the heart of the city in Dublin, and that's where it's remained ever since. So the book has been in Trinity College, Trinity, you know, beautiful symbology here. Just notice that as we're talking through this presentation today, but it's been there ever since. So it's been held there in safekeeping. When I was a child, I remember going in and it was on display in a glass case. But just a few years ago, they've redesigned it. And as you'll see from the photo, which I'll show shortly, it's got its own room, its own sacred space to be displayed in. So I wasn't allowed to take pictures of the Book of Kells, but I took some pictures in the museum part to show you. And there are 3 particular pages from the Book of Kells that I'll be showing you. And then the actual page that was shown on the day that I visited, because the pages are turned over. It used to be daily, but now it's every few weeks. They turn over the page, they turn over a new leaf, and you can actually see that on the Visit Trinity website to see what page it's actually on, if you're interested. So I didn't realize that they actually showed the page that it's on, and I typed up the details of the page while I was there. So, okay, yeah, you want to see some pictures? Let's dive in and see some pictures of the Book of Kells. So we have journeyed from Iona. We are now round about the middle in Meath of Ireland. And here is the beginnings of the Book of Kells. So all the pictures I'm showing are photos I've taken, except for this one, which I got from the Visit Trinity website. So this is the beautiful area. When you go on tour, you eventually arrive at this space, in this room, where the book is held under the perfect, apparently, climatic conditions for the Book of Kells. It feels very sacred. There was part of me that felt sad that this book that would have been, I felt like it was meant to be touched, but it's so delicate now and the pigments are so delicate, but that it would have been touched and poured over and written on. And because it was vellum, you could actually scrape out any mistakes and redo it. So I felt a bit lonely for this book being in this case. And it felt very like the same in my last webinar on Malta. There was the sleeping goddess, and she too was held under climate controlled conditions in her case, in her own sacred space. So it felt like a bit of a bridge there between Malta and Kells, Valletta and Kells, the sleeping goddess, the Book of Kells. There must be symbology there, the bridge. So I'm going to show you 3 pages that I just snapped these pictures in the museum. And honestly, I hadn't planned on doing a webinar, but I should know by now, one will always arrive. So this is the Una page. And these were up in the museum in giant boards. They were huge. So Una, U-N-A. So all the colors, all the pigment, the designs, the detail, the people. I kind of feel the faces always look a bit miserable in the Book of Kells. Big generalization, but that's my feeling. I imagine it was tough work, leaning over this book, daylight, candlelight, and working for years on end. It would have been people's life purpose to have the honor to do this book. But you can see how this is the inspiration for Celtic writing, and then for someone here whose logo is inspired by the Book of Kells. So this page, and the meaning is angels guarding the sepulchre where Jesus lies. And these are the words that are in the text. I begin the account, John 20.1, begin the account of the women approaching the sepulchre. That's a hard word to say. And that's from the Book of Kells official guide. But that's what's written down. Just allow this page to speak to you, to transmit through the different colors, the symbology, the detail. And a wonderful Druid friend of mine who got in touch over email around the Book of Kells explains that Una also means oneness. And the mirror, the Tuatha De Danann, or the Tuatha Danu, the mirror of Anu, A-N-U, is Una. So there's something about the coding and symbology within the Book of Kells that is resurrecting now to support us as we ascend into new earth, Tara, Gaia, whatever you want to call it. There's something here for all of us. The next page that I took a photo of were the 4 evangelists, and they're represented as symbols here by Matthew the man, Mark the lion, John the eagle, Luke the calf. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Where are the women? Yes, that's another webinar. And they're arranged around this yellow-edged cross. So look at the yellow, the gold, and these different shapes and portals. And each one of these pages, I would invite you to meditate with them. Hold out your hands and feel the resonance of the gold, of the different pigments, the symbology, the shapes, and what that sparks within you. So every single detail feels very defined and very purposeful. Even all the outlining and the sacred geometry arrangements and the swirls and lines. It's very ornate, very beautiful. And then the final page that I took a picture of is the Cairo page. And it's called this because the letters XPI represent the genealogy of Christ. So within that looks like the P, and then there is an X and an I. So it's like a puzzle to find where the lettering is. And this is like the key to this, our new generation. People call it the time of the Christos light, the sacred union, the Sophia. So this is the first naming of Christ, occurs here at Matthew 1:18, ending the account of Christ's genealogy. Autem or autem generatio, now the generation of Christ. So it feels like there's a command in there. Look at the triple spirals here, the detail inside each one. The head here, look, it goes like whoop, the P and the head and I. That actually looks like pie, doesn't it? A pie portal. And this sacred geometry down here, lined in gold. So it's a lifetimes of work and a lifetime of study for the people, the gift that they left us. So again, feel the energy from these pages. And what does it activate within you? So the page, when I stepped into that room and looked at the page, this is the explanation of what this page was. It was two pages, and it was like lines of writing. There was part of me disappointed. I wanted one of the really detailed, ornate pages to look at. And this was like the classic style, the Irish style of writing with the big first capital letter and then the ornate, like calligraphy-like writing. So this is from Mark, and there are the numbers. And it's the atonement of Jesus and his resurrection. So when I saw the word resurrection, I thought, wow, this is what we're doing, resurrecting into new earth. And then there was a peacock on the right-hand folio of line 9. Beautiful drawing of a peacock. And this is the marker for the important passage concerning witnesses at the tomb of the resurrected Christ. Who were the witnesses? Who saw Christ first? So for me, it was Tingles, it's the Magdalene, it's the Mary. Here they are, hiding in plain sight. Written into the Book of Kells, even though they've been written out of the Bible. Peacocks represent the incorruptible body of Christ, because peacock flesh did not decay. Peacock tail feathers are regenerated each year, hence symbolizing resurrection. So this, for me, feels like the journey of the soul, the incorruptible, non-corrosive nature of our soul that is so pure and untouchable from any distorted forces that try to harm us. And that this knowing supports us in resurrecting, rising up into lighter, less dense, ascended beings. So if you want to see what page the book is on, you can go to this website, and I'll include that in the replay link as well. So once I had spent time with the Book of Kells, and I actually went back again. I was on this tour with my mum and daughter, and they didn't want to read everything in such detail like I did. So they went on ahead. I went back in to have another look and spend time with the Book of Kells that was beginning to feel more familiar by this stage. And then you go up the stairs and you enter in to the old library, the long room it's called. Now, I don't know about you, at this place, this is the place if I've had Akashic readings done or past life memories and visions, this is the place where I'm taken. It looks just like this, the long room in Trinity College. So this is a place where all the ancient texts are kept, thousands of books that are here. And you might be saying, where are they? There is a regeneration project going on. Look at the light there as well, it's gorgeous. So there's no you could take photos here, no flashes, but it just caught that light beam there, which is really beautiful. There's a once in a lifetime opportunity to see empty shelves. I love this marketing spin. You can see the empty shelves instead of the books. And they're taking off all the thousands of books and painstakingly cleaning them to get all the dust off. So here are the empty shelves guarded by your man here. So that's the long room redevelopment project. And on the Visit Trinity website, there are videos as well that you can see of the restoration work in action. So a real, like stepping into any library, a real sense of ancientness, like the words and the wisdom are whispering these ancient texts, like that one that I buried in the bog long ago, like these texts that we held to preserve the lore. And of course, the ancient texts are within us as well. And this is the Brian Boru harp, which is the oldest harp, it's said, from the 14th century, and it's made from wire, strung harp. I used to play the harp, the Irish harp, and the strings were actually gut strings. So wire is unusual. And there it is. Apparently you play it with your fingernails, I guess, a bit like the guitar with a plectrum. Okay, so that is the Book of Kells. I'll stop share for a moment. And yeah, hello, Chuck, welcome. So right, very sacred and sad at the time. The book belongs in nature. Yeah, perfecting its place, Druid Master. Yes, thank you. It's what it felt like. You know, it's how I feel when I saw that stone in the museum that had been taken from Lough Crew and placed in the museum. And this is what we do, all the gold that's been taken from the sacred sites and placed in safekeeping in these museums. And I'm totally with you. I live for the time when we can put all these back, like the Cailleach had said to me before, put them back in the place where they belong. So yeah, one day, let's hope, and that we can actually feel and hold the books in our hands again, but we can feel the energy. And Michelle is saying, I didn't realize they used sigils back then. Yeah, sigils, that's the word, yeah. Amazing, and keep going with that, because I feel like the book wants to bring messages for all of us here, all of you that are joining and watching this. And Willow's saying, so beautiful. Yeah, Michelle, I sense they're trying to put us in safe, sterile rooms. Oh, yes. How ironic. That's absolutely it. And it is not the place for us humans, is it? No. We got to get dirty. We got to get down in nature and get mud under our nails and feel and live and be in these elementals. Yeah. Hello. Je t'aime, chérie. What a lovely name. Je t'aime. I've just joined, so forgive me. I've spent many pilgrimages in Iona where the Book of Kells was held in sacred repository for many years. Yeah, so at the very beginning, I spoke of Iona and how the book started off there is ultimately the Book of Iona, the island of the dove. And then when the Vikings came and there was a threat of it being destroyed, it was taken over to Kells. So yeah, watch the start of the video as well. And it's amazing, it survived. So amazing. And thank you for bringing the energy of Iona here too. And Rama's sharing museum mausoleums. Yeah, museums, mausoleums. Yeah, that's beautiful. I don't know if you want to share more about that. It's very beautiful. So that's the Book of Kells, and kind of what wanted to be shared today. I did have to buy the official guide, the Book of Kells. Looks very sad, doesn't he? I think we share similar eyebrows. And it's got a lot of the pictures and that. That to me looks like human design. That's the eight-pointed star, it's called, and then different columns. So yeah, it's that's the Mary, her child, Jesus. So yeah, there's lots in here, and as I said, it's people's study. This is what they do. You look very similar. I think we do. It's kind of hard to make that face and keep your eyebrows up as well. Yeah, somber. somber. Well, I guess they were somber times, you know. The Kabbalah and the Venus transits. Oh, yes. I just need a beard, yeah. But that is the Book of Kells. Finally went on the tour. If you do go, you need to book it in advance so that it's a self-guided tour. And another tip, if you arrive in from the airport, they have a cloakroom for €3 for the day where you can put your bag, which I never knew about, and that's in the Arts Building in Trinity College. I am not on commission for this, but these little things that you find out, we went straight from the airport to the Book of Kells. So it's just nice to dump your bag somewhere. Oh, Pauline. Hi, Pauline. How are you doing? I've not seen you in ages. On RTE News, that's Radio Telefís Éireann, the Irish news, it showed a student protest over housing, which is blocking people from seeing the Book of Kells today. That's bonkers. And here we are. We see it here, live on this webinar. That's amazing. Wow. Rama saying art lasting forever, impermanent art for just this day. I've been more drawn to the magic in this day as well as trees and stones. Yeah. And these myths, the storytelling was all oral lore. It was all oral, passed down. And then again, that's why I asked the question of what was so important about these. There's not just the Book of Kells, there's the Book of Durrow, there's the Book of Armagh, there's sacred texts around the world. But what was so important about designing them and creating them so ornately? And as Michelle has noticed, there's sigils in there, there's portals in there, there's vibration that comes from it. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so then we move on and journey from Dublin to Kells to Uisneach in the sacred centre of Ireland. And I know some of you here have been to the Bealtaine fire at Uisneach. I haven't yet. Gets booked up apparently very quickly, but I was told if you are on the mailing list for the Hill of Uisneach, then you will be the first to get the option to buy tickets for the Bealtaine fire. So this is the entrance, which was so beautiful. And this is only about an hour from my mum's home. And I finally booked tickets and went on the day after I was at the Book of Kells. So I love being a tourist in my own country. Sacred centre of Ireland, the royal seat of ancient Ireland, the seat of the High Kings, the Bealtaine fire celebration. So shall we step in to this sacred place? So I booked a group guided tour and our guide talked nonstop. She was a font, an endless well of wisdom, and talked for 3 hours. The tour is meant to be a 2-hour walking tour around the lands. She spoke for 3 hours nonstop. So her first word, I was off in another dimension when she said Uisneach, the ancient Irish meaning is temple. And it was like these connections, these bridges, these neural pathways that had been asleep for a very long time were springing back into life as I remembered and could envision all of us, sacred witches, druids, priestesses, wise ones, communing here in all these sacred places in Ireland, beyond, but communing here on this vast landscape, which is the sacred centre, the geographic centre of Ireland. So they've excavated some parts and they've dated these settlements to 6,000 years. It's probably, or is more ancient than that. What struck me walking the land, first of all, was the smell of that, just after the rain, it had just rained, the sun was coming out, and there were the ferns and the fuchsia and the hawthorn and the grass. It was just that earthy smell. And that reminds me, I bought a candle and I wanted to light it at this moment to show you. It's a soya candle. I've lit it for 2 of my classes, and inside are the ashes that they infuse it with of the Bealtaine fire. So I'm going to light it and just imagine the smell of, it's almost like turf or peat and earth from the centre of Ireland, Uisneach, and this beautiful, oh, it's gone out. It's a sigh. Fire shall not be extinguished this time. Oh, that really doesn't want to light. Our candle, it's there. It's ablaze. It's ablaze. Take 2. We have fire. We have fire. And we have the smells and the energies from the Hill of Uisneach, infused with the ashes of the fire. Just has the most gorgeous aroma. So Uisneach, it was the hawthorn trees that really caught my attention. There's so many standalone hawthorn tree, the fairy tree. Some were decorated, I think. Actually, I don't know if they were, but they were really beautiful. So here are just some of the pictures that I took whilst walking around. This one really called to me against the brooding sky, and the hawthorn berries, the flowers had fallen and they had turned to berries. You can just imagine being there in ancient times and all this beautiful plant medicine that's been gifted from the earth. And then as we walked, we met up with Éiriú, who is said to be buried beneath the catstone, which we'll get to. And Ireland is called after her, this ancient goddess, this sovereign goddess, who resides in the center, so represents the balance, the peace, the harmony, the sovereignty, the center of the circle, the center of the witch's wheel. So we danced with Éiriú in this beautiful sculpture. Her hair is alive. There are apples in there and vines, and it was just so earthy. And this is like the iconic image of Uisneach, especially at the time of the Bealtaine fires. And our guide was funny. She's like, we give her a haircut every now and again and, fix up her hair. And then we made our way to the highest point. So it's quite flat around there, but hilly. And this is the highest point, which is still quite low lying, but it's called, there's a Neolithic cairn, which hasn't been excavated yet, but they think it could be like a womb tomb. She said womb, I thought tomb. And there's a cairn placed on top of it, which may have damaged the womb tomb, but it's called St. Patrick's Bed as well, because it said he came there. He did come to Ireland. That's a story for another day. And you can see 20 counties, and our guide named every one of them and pointed out all the 20 counties that you could see from this centre point of Ireland. And the clouds began to come in, and there was a storm brewing on this sacred land. And then on we walked up this ceremonial walkway, or down. I think we were walking down actually. And again, you could imagine walking with our torches, singing, chanting, chatting away, and this real air of festivities. So as we walked down, we're walking towards the stone that marks the centre of Ireland. And this is the very powerful and very energetic Stone of Divisions, the cat stone, Al Namurin. Cat stone because it looks like a crouching cat, if you can see that or not. The Stone of Divisions because it's the sacred centre and it divides Ireland into the 4 provinces, with the 5th being the Mida, M-I-D-E, which represents the middle. So this cat stone divides, so we're standing in the 4 provinces. We're walking the wheel. We're in balance. So our guide spoke to us there, and then instinctively when she said we could go towards the stone, these people in the group, they just knew what to do. It was so sacred. They went up and it was like they were befriending and communing with an old friend, very old. This is a glacial erratic stone. It's limestone and it was deposited there by the glacier. They date it as 12,000 years ago. And these people in the group went up, placed their hands on the stone, placed their forehead. And I know they were reading, they were communing with, they were listening to the stories that the stone had to share with them in that moment. And for me, I felt called to walk around the stone, and I just walked really slowly, took my time, reached out and touched her stone every now and again, but ended up walking 3 times around. And again, it feels like this instinctively what we do is what we would have done in ancient times. And there was one of the guys in the group was like, he's like, whoa, the power coming off this stone. Like people, we really felt it. There was such a powerful energy. And look at the light here. And then some more, she is very photogenic. So beneath, there's a crack beneath, and this is where Éiriú is said to be buried. Because when Ireland was being invaded by the Malaysians, there was Éiriú, Banba and Fola, her 3 sisters. And they said, you can have Ireland so long as you name her after one of us. So it was Éiriú in the centre of Uisneach that Ireland became known, and that became Éire. So you can see the cracks, but she is mighty. She really is. And this board was beside the stone. May the sacred centre always be protected, honoured and respected. May the sacred energy of Éiriú always flow free, bringing all these blessings to the country, all its beings, and to you and me. May there be strength, nearth, wisdom, consciousness on all sides and levels. And so we walk hand in hand with lots of love in our hearts through this sacred land. I thought that was really beautiful. It's like a prayer of peace for these times. Okay. So that was my time on Uisneach. And it had such a powerful impact. I've been wanting to go there for ages, to be honest. And yeah, I hope you can feel, I know you will, the energy that comes through walking the land. The tour was about 3 kilometers, they said, but as I said, it was 3 hours. And at the end, they had the best cup of tea ever in the barn. And that's where I bought this candle to bring Uisneach home. Uisneach or Uisneach. Yeah, felt very sacred and a beautiful way to come back into balance, walking these lands. And this is what I'm called to do, walk the land, share the stories and help ignite the remembrances within others. So there was a poem and some free writing that I did on the 25th. It was actually, I'd been to the Book of Kells on the 24th of August and then woke up on the 25th before going to Uisneach. So I'll share this and then we have a little transmission from Peacock towards the end. I can't believe how the time flies on these webinars. So it's 25th of August, 2023. I wake and it's 6:39 a.m. The Trinity access code. I am sorcerer with a U. Follow me home to source, the universal source. I remember dreams of gold inside a book, inner union with the mysteries. I remember black and white pigeon beautifully decorated in Celtic spiral art. I remember the secrets under jade birds' wings, gold, elemental 79, nuggets. The book of gold, the way to the golden age, new earth, Tara, Gaia, the art, so intricate and mesmerizing. I see golden spirals spinning, spinning, dancing, dancing over the pages of the Book of Kells. I feel sadness at that golden book held inside glass case in a carefully controlled environment, just like the sleeping lady of the Hypogeum in Valletta's museum in Malta. I feel the divine knights standing, waiting to step in, to offer support. The codes within the golden pages will set you free. It is written in the stars. So say, my druid friend. Peacock portal, Book of Kells, resurrection, rosary, Bridget's flame. Step through the portal of the flame to new earth. Step through, rebirth anew. Step through, rebirth anew, which is what resurrection means. Rebirthing and emerging into a higher state of consciousness. Stunning photos, can feel the energy, yeah. Michelle is sharing, I love the wildness of the land, how it's been left rich with nature and not kept sterile. Yeah, and it's actually farming land, so cows do graze. And it's a working farm, which is why you have to do a paid tour. That's okay. Jennifer sharing 12,000 years ago, the planet Sedna returned to our universe. She has a 12,000 orbit. I felt that 12,000 was important. So she is back again. Sedna returns just as she was here at the time Ireland received the Catstone. This is the time of returns. Woohoo! Oh, that is so aligned. Wow. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And Kerry's sharing, I love Uisneach. Last year, me and my mum and daughter went there as a 3-generation tour. That's exactly what we did at the Book of Kells. Me, my mum, my daughter. It was a step too far getting them to come to Uisneach with me. That's gorgeous. A small hawk glided alongside our vehicle before we turned into it. Felt like a blessing. And your mum is very Christian oriented, but she did feel the ancient power connecting. Wow. Yeah, the tour guides are amazing, an amazing amount of wisdom. All of Éiriú is under great threat from industrialization and continues to be under great threat. But the love and protection of the landscapes is awakened under such threats. Yes, rebirth anew, blessed be. Wow, that's really powerful. Your words are. Yeah, thank you, thank you. And there's more. Peacock. So that was a Thursday, Friday at the end of August. And then because the page of the Book of Kells was about line 9 in the Peacock, I felt called to go seek out a peacock. And where else would you go but my local park in Dublin, where I've always gone, walking distance up the road. And ironically, it's where I learned the harp as a teenager. I wanted to learn the fiddle, but my sister had gotten a harp. My dad called it the Bank of Ireland harp because I took out a loan to get the harp. And now my sister has it in London. But this is where we used to go, to this courtyard, which was very rustic and run down in my day. And the harp maker, Colin, who has since passed on, worked inside one of these doors that were just a wooden door. It wasn't as fancy as it's become now. And he made his harps in there, in amongst the dust and the wood, and he'd be coughing away and would create these amazing instruments. Anyways, also the place where peacocks roam. It's like this, it was a grand aristocratic house in the 18th century, but the peacocks still roam. So it was very easy to find Peacock. He was waiting there in the courtyard, just a few doors down from where I used to go and learn the harp. And my dad would drop me off, and then he'd go on a big walk around the park and really enjoy it. So this is the peacock medicine. And there he is. Look at him looking at me, waiting for the shop to open. But it doesn't open again until the 7th of September. So remembering that page the Book of Kells was on, it felt like a loop in the spiral. The witnesses of the tomb of the resurrected Christ. Peacock represents the incorruptible body of Christ because peacock flesh did not decay. So if you place soul in there, any word in there as well, we are immortal beings. Our soul is eternal. Therefore, we can tap in and connect to this internal wisdom within us. Peacock tail feathers are regenerated each year, hence symbolizing resurrection. So it felt like this triple spiral of birth, death, rebirth, and peacock was playing a prominent part. So I pursued Peacock as he walked on by and went to have a look in another shop. That wasn't open either. Bespoke bridal. She'll have to wait for peacock medicine. No one was open, but actually he was looking at his reflection. And then, nonplussed, he walked off through the courtyard. But later on, he did actually go in there, and there was a black car parked that was very shiny. And I posted it on my Instagram. Peacock kept looking in the car, seeing his reflection and flapping back, getting the fright of his life. It was just quite funny. These are the things that amuse me. So that was beautiful, Peacock. And then I went into the walled gardens in this beautiful park. There were 2 female peacocks that were up on top of a wall. But there were these beautiful flowers, the sunflowers front and back, these beautiful roses and the fuchsia. So bringing in these sweet scented flowers, those roses smelt amazing, infused with our candle from Uisneach and this gorgeous energy. And the day after was, as I said, the blessing of the graves, which they do in Ireland. And I reluctantly went with my mother, and it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. It was so infused with love. Yes, it was a Catholic ceremony. The priest spoke of the resurrection, of the eternal nature of the soul. And it just dropped in that whether we're divine witch or druid or priest or priestess, there are commonalities to what we believe in and what we're striving for. So it really dropped in that, gosh, this religion that I've stepped away from and that I'm being spiraled back to see the gifts and the treasures held within, it's all different wordings with similar things. It's about the love, it's about the resurrection, it's about our pure eternal natures. So it was a beautiful reminder in the midst of the destruction and distortion that's going on. So that's why I wanted to bring in the beautiful roses as well. And the blessings, and what I felt was like the souls and all the people buried were like, thank goodness for acknowledging us, and that these lights were rising higher on their soul path as well. Felt really, really beautiful. Yeah. Michelle's sharing, I feel the harp needs to be reintroduced to your home. Yeah, it was. And then it was looking at me going, play me. And I'm like, no. So it's gone to my sister. Sorry, I need to go. We'll watch the replay the rest of the time. Thank you so much. You're so welcome. Thank you for being here. Michelle's saying he had a long wait for his coffee. He did. Gorgeous. Yeah, it is beautiful, that place and that park. Yeah, so that is the journey around the Book of Kells to Uisneach in the sacred centre of Ireland, to Peacock medicine and what that brings forth for you, and the beautiful blossoming flowers and roses. So thank you for listening and watching. And I'll just share, I said I'd share what events I have going on. And this is coming up next week. If you want more storytelling, if there's rage, release, and reversing the curse medicine that you want to receive, myself and my dear soul sister, Cheryl Prince, are running these workshops. We're doing them every season. And this is to honor autumn equinox, to bring in the sacred rage and these medicines to support us on our journey, but also to release them as well in order to enhance our journey. I'm going to get the link just now, stop sharing for a minute. So that is on my website, eimearstassen.com. And thank you to those of you that have already joined it. It's going to be really, really powerful. I'm going to be focusing on Ireland and what's coming through from the land for me to share. And Cheryl is focusing on London and the lands where she resides. So it's going to be a really beautiful combination of our different medicines. Yeah, I love the comments here. Oh, Leslie Anish is saying it's been amazing and must come to Ireland. Yeah, it is beautiful, and I hope to run an event there at some stage, maybe next year, who knows. Just going and walking the lands it's just such a beautiful thing to do, isn't it? Wherever we are, and to listen to what the land wants to speak to us. Yeah, and in October, we will be walking the land with some of you here and others in our Witches Rise Up Equinox Retreat, and that is in Scotland. And as I've shared with someone before, it's like you've got to do something here first in Scotland, and then Ireland. It's like the witches want something acknowledged, activated. They want their energies brought back here, and to honor the elementals as well. So we'll put the link in for that as well. So these are the events that are coming up, but keep an eye out. I'll be opening up the Mentorship for Witches 12-month program as well shortly. So if you do want to, there's an option of short courses or longer courses too. And yeah, I love reading all your chat. Deep gratitude. Michelle saying, I discovered that same thing. We all know the truth, but have been turned against each other to stop us connecting. Yeah, and opening to our innate wisdom. The other thing that was really beautiful with the blessing of the graves ceremony, it was such a beautiful ceremony, was the priest was, he was such a great singer. He had his guitar, he was singing, and it was just really uplifting, surprisingly so, considering I didn't want to go. But it turned out really, really nice and magical, yeah. So we're being asked to find these common weaves, aren't we? Just as you're saying. Jennifer, deep gratitude. Grateful for the sweet gift, sweet medicine. Thank you so much. Hello, Joe from Argentina. Thank you for the trip. Magical, soulful sharing. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Leslie Ann. Pure love. I love Ireland. Yeah, there's so much to share. And I love sharing. I love taking photos. I love sharing. And yeah, it activates something. It brings us closer together. Anna's saying the follow-up sharing is needed and appreciated. So many layers of beauty and meaning. Absolutely, yeah. So I'll send out this replay and follow-up links as well. Oh, thanks, Karina. You're following my webinars for years. It's always a gift. You carry Ireland in your heart from other lifetimes. And I'm very grateful for the chance to feel the sacred energy again. That's really beautiful. That will really activate a lot in you. Thank you, everyone. Je t'aime is saying, I'd love to interview you for your Walking the Footsteps of the Goddess series. Absolutely. Send me an email. It will be gorgeous. Rising of our power, evolving, expanding fractals of God, Goddess. Whoa, that sounds really powerful. Yes. Willow, appreciate you and your poetic sharings. Thank you all so much. Keep in touch. Thank you for being here live. So many of you on Zoom and then over on YouTube as well. It's a joy to see so many of you here. And yeah, let's keep in touch. Sign up to anything if you want some more beautiful, intimate sharings. And until we meet again to walk the lands where we feel called, take care. I shall complete our circle by blowing out. Oh, it smells so good. Earth, air, fire, and water, and ether. Let the elementals have the final word. So much love to you all. Talk to you again soon. Oh, your heart is filled. That's gorgeous. Have beautiful days and evenings, everyone. Thank you.